The simplest way to become a millionaire is by doing the same thing that millionaires did to become millionaires, to become financially successful. It's by modeling of excellence, which simply means to apply the same habits they did for their financial success on your own. So let's take a look at those habits that you can steal from them for your own financial success and that you can start right now. If we haven't met, I'm Sophia, and on this channel we explore the strategies of building wealth and become financially free without living frugal. And habit number 1 that surprised me is planning. Now there is a book, it's called The Millionaire Next Door, and the authors surveyed many millionaires in America to find out their actual habits. So they did the work that we can now benefit from. And one interesting aspect they discovered about millionaires, in the book they call them PAW, which stands for Prodigious Accumulators of Wealth. They spend twice as much time on planning their money, planning their finances, than non-millionaires do. And they call non-millionaires UAW, which stands for Under Accumulator of Wealth. So millionaires spend up to 10 hours per month just planning their finances. And this includes budgeting, tracking their expenses, researching and managing their investments, but also planning their taxes, reviewing their financial goals, and planning their retirement and their estate. By the way, they use a fun little equation on how to figure out if you are a PAW or a UAW. I'll share this equation at the end of the video. And I noticed this myself. I procrastinated on managing my money and starting to invest for a very long time. But it wasn't until I actually put in the time. I sat down, I made the intention to start, and then I did start. And once I spent time on it, even though before I didn't really know with what to start or where to start or what to do, just by sitting down and spending time on this, the steps became clearer and clearer. So once you get started, you build momentum, and at some point it just becomes second nature to do this. So to sit down and take the time and plan the finances. But it does take this initial, I'm doing this now. Habit number 2 is simply keep money. Now I know it almost sounds too easy to be true, but the truth is, and that was also the main message in the book, The Millionaire Next Door, millionaires consistently live below their means so that they have money to keep for themselves. And it was interesting because I don't know about you, but I grew up pretty much thinking that it's all about income. So a high income means that you're wealthy. But it was interesting because in the book, The Millionaire Next Door, they had examples, for example, of one physician who earned $700,000 per year. I'm also a physician. I never earned even close to that. So they had this physician, and they also had an entrepreneur who made about the same amount of money per year. But it was actually the physician who had a very low net worth compared to his income. And that is because he had such high costs of living. So this typical image of a millionaire living in the fancy neighborhood, driving 2+ luxury cars, and then also keeping up with the lifestyle of all of their neighbors. And that literally is the definition of lifestyle inflation. So when your expenses automatically rise with your income. And not just that, but sometimes also in expectation of your future income. And the entrepreneur with the same income had a much higher net worth compared with his income because he kept so much of his money. And I mean, someone with an income like that doesn't even have to live frugal to build wealth. If the physician just kept half of his income, he would still have way more than average to spend his money on and would still build significant wealth within a very short time. But one requirement would be to actually look at the expenses and then find ways to not let them get out of hand. This, by the way, was the very first thing that I started with on my financial journey more than 10 years ago. I still use an Excel sheet that I have kept tweaking over the years, and there I have everything at a glance, also how much I'm spending within different categories. If you want to check it out, it's completely free. There's a link down below. But I would like to add that living frugal alone doesn't do the trick. You can probably think of people who say, no, I don't live a flashy lifestyle. I don't drive a luxury car. I live a modest life. But they still don't build a significant net worth because at the end of the day, or to be more accurate, the end of the month, they still spend their money somehow. And maybe it's not in one item, but in several. Buying $10 t-shirts, but buying 50 of them is still spending $500. Habit number 3 is millionaires invest. When I said living frugal alone doesn't do the trick, what millionaires do with the money they don't spend is they invest it. They invest it into assets that make more money out of their money. So they transform cash into appreciating assets like stocks, bonds, commodities, real estate. And that is what lets their wealth grow even more. That is also how they create additional income streams like interest income, capital gains, rental income, or dividend income. And that one way or another, that also lets them save on taxes, especially if they keep their investments for a long period of time, like a buy and hold strategy. So you buy the thing and then you hold it for a long time. Because when you buy and sell your investments short term, you often have relatively high costs, and you also have to pay the taxes on the income like immediately. And at the time when the book was first published, which was in the 90s, it wasn't even as easy as to invest now, because now those costs of brokers are even lower. And not just that, you can start investing with as little as $1 and invest into fractions of shares, which I'm not sure was possible back then, and also invest into funds that are very low cost and that represent a whole economy. So what most millionaires had in common wasn't that they inherited their wealth. On the contrary, most of them were actually first-generation millionaires. It also wasn't making huge amounts of money at once, like having an exit of a startup, but it was the discipline of a handful of habits applied over many, many, many years that made them build extraordinary wealth. And now, as promised, here's the formula to figure out whether you are a PAW or a UAW. So you take your current age, you multiply that with your gross annual income. So if your pre-tax income per year is 100,000, then you take that as your number. And then you divide that number by 10. And if your net worth is close to that number, then you are an average accumulator of wealth. If your actual net worth is higher than this expected net worth, then you are a PAW, congratulations. And if it's lower than the number, then you are a UAW. Let me know in the comments what you found out. If you want to start procrastinating and start investing yourself, I recommend this video next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you there. Bye bye.